friends, it's Marissa, mkissa Creations and surfandsew.me on Instagram. I am here for another Flosstube video. This is video number 20 for me. I did do a couple little Flosstube extras in there, so there are more than 20 videos, but if you are new here, please go ahead and check out my whip parade. That's the last video that I uploaded. You are going to see updates of a few of the items today. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you like what you see. If you're here because Pam and Steph shouted me out, thank you for coming to check me out. They are dolls for throwing some attention my way, and I'm just so appreciative of it. If you're returning, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I just really appreciate having all of you here, and yeah, it just means a lot to me. I've grown a lot in the last couple weeks in my Flosstube world, and I am just so grateful for all of you. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for subscribing and liking and commenting. I try really hard to make sure I get back to all of my comments, and I really appreciate hearing from you. All right. I'm going to do a little life update because life has really been lifing, and I don't tend to not life update too much, but life is lifing a lot here in Maine right now. It is Saturday, January 13th, and we are currently experiencing high tide of the absolute highest tide that has ever been recorded in the 100+ years that they have been recording tides. What that means for me and the town that I live in, there is only one way in and out of our neighborhood right now. The other roads are flooded. We live on a marsh and surrounded by rivers. So thankfully our house is on a hill and we are not in any danger. Just the fact that things are kind of wild around here. We've been experiencing a lot of sirens today. The rain has mostly stopped, which is nice and encouraging, but right now Portland, Cape Elizabeth, and Scarborough are dealing with, and Old Orchard Beach are dealing with absolutely wild high tides, and like nothing we've ever seen before. All of our marshes and rivers are really high, and a lot of the roads are underwater, so it's kind of scary, but like I said, we are okay. And on top of that, last week we had a storm that knocked our power out. A tree went down in our neighborhood and took down some power lines. So we had no power on Wednesday morning last week, which followed the week that we had our boiler downstairs replaced and had gone 3 days without heat or hot water. We've had a very mild winter here so far in Maine, as far as temperature and snow goes. So our boiler replacement was planned. It was not an emergency. We have no heat or hot water. We needed a new one, and it just so happened to work out that this was the time that it was going to happen. But we sent the girls to my mom's so that they didn't have to camp at our house, but my husband and I stuck around, and we put some space heaters to good use, and he took showers at the gym and I took showers while I was helping my mom with school drop-offs and pickups, because of course my children don't go to the same school. That would have been way too easy. So anyways, that's what's happening with life. It's been excellent for cross-stitching. So I have gotten more cross-stitching done in the last 2 weeks, than I have in a really long while. So let's get on with it. First things first, I have a finish, so we're gonna talk about that really quick. This is called Quilted Together. It's stuffed with crushed walnut shells. This is my pattern. So this is Quilted Together. This is my new pattern available for Valentine's Day with this little quilty pinwheel heart and some little checkered hearts and these two little birds. And I made them so that you could really interchange the colors. So there's a dark aqua and could be interchangeable with the dark red if you interchange the light aqua with the pink. And you can have a little blue bird and a little pink and red bird, or you can have two blue birds or two pink birds like I have right here. I really love how this turned out. I quilt and sew, or at least I did before I had babies. And now that they're getting older, I am hoping to get back to it, but that world has just been calling to me lately, and so a little quilty heart just warmed my quilty heart. So this is available in my shop. I'm going to link it below. If you love it and you want to stitch it, I would love to be tagged in your Instagram posts. The hashtag world is a mess right now, but if you stitch any of my designs, please tag me so that I can see it and share the love. And thank you for sharing your love with me. It just really means a lot to me. All right, that was my finish. So it was a what was it? A Sappho? Same, I don't know, I finished it all. It was a start and fully finished object. So yeah, a Sappho, it was a Sappho. This is my Sappho. Took me 2 days to stitch it, and I actually changed the color in my design, so I had to do a rip out one day and then restitch, but it only took 2 days, so it was a quick stitch. The reason that I know it took 2 days, or the reason that I can track that it took 2 days, is I've been using this stitch tracker. I don't have a book of days, but I think either last year or the year before, I bought this tracker from Counting Puddles, who I'll link her Etsy shop below, and I just reprinted a new one for this year, and it is a daily cross stitch tracker. So it has a little hollow X for every day of the year. Has a couple extras down at the bottom. She just made it go straight across, so there's no shorter February and the 30 days versus the 31 days. They're all 31 days for each month are listed. And it also comes with a cross stitch project key. So you put in your project and then you pick a color to assign to it, and then you use said color when you mark what you stitched. And last year I did have X's that were 2 prongs of it were one color, and then 2 prongs of the X were another color. You could go, if you needed to stitch 4 projects one day, you could stitch, it could have 4 different color prongs. But I really like this. It also comes with 2 other trackers that I don't use, but other people might find them interesting. It comes with a 12 projects at glance, and then it also comes with a 24 projects at glance. And they have spots you color it in if you are in the planning stage, the preparing stage, and then it has checkoff points for 25%, 50%, 75%, FO, FFO, and share. So I think that's pretty cool. These are folded up because my girls were playing with the extra pages, because I don't use those ones. And then the cross stitch project key that I was showing, where you fill out which projects are on there. Those are, there's space for 25 projects. So, and they're numbered as 1 through 25, but if you went over that or you have more whips than that, you can just add another page. The colors that I use, of course, one thing that I forgot to put right next to me. I use midliners. I love these so much. They're like highlighters, but lots of colors, and then they have the chiseled edge on one side, and then a not fine point, but a finer point on the other side. And it works fine for filling in these little X's. And I will link midliners below. It'll probably be an Amazon affiliate link because I have an Amazon affiliate account. But yeah, so if you are looking for some fun markers, they also are really good about, they're great for journaling because they don't push through the backside of the paper, which is, I feel like, such a struggle sometimes in our lives. A silly struggle, but a struggle nonetheless. All right, new starts. So as you may remember, I am doing 24 new starts in 2024. And I think that Steph of Pam and Steph started that. I am not positive, but it happened. And then I didn't really have a plan for what I was going to start when, except for one item that I'm going to start with Cross Stitch the Globe. They are doing a Beatles kind of Sal start for the Magical Mystery Tour series. And so that is going to happen on February 13th. I'll be starting that one. But other than that, I didn't really have plans for any of my new starts of when I'm going to fit them in and what I'm going to do. But I showed off all of my new starts, and my friend Hillary, who also does a Flosstube, but I don't think she's done a video for a long time, but she's Rustic Threads Stitching, I believe. And I will link her Flosstube channel below and her Instagram. She messaged me and she said, oh, well, I've always wanted to stitch this one and I have it, so let's go. And she started it and started sending me pictures, and I was like, well, I guess this is gonna be my first start. So I started the Erica Michaels sampler book, and I started with A is for Acorn. And these patterns, again, are available for free at Rainbow Gallery's website. The instructions on how to put the sampler book together are available as an Erica Michaels pattern, probably through your favorite local needlework shop. So I started this. I am also stitching all of my 24 new starts in 2024 from Stash. So I started A is for Acorn and Algerian Eyelet. And this is my start. This is on Forbidden Fiber Company Fabric of the Month Woodland. It's a 32 count. And let's just show you my flosses. Almost all color and cotton, and then one Gentle Arts Simply Shaker. So that's where we're at for that. And I'll spend a couple more days stitching on this before I put it away. I might even, be able to finish it, hopefully. And then we will move on to a new start, which I still don't know what it's gonna be. So we'll all be surprised together next week. All right. I also was not planning on doing Whip Go, not planning on joining any crazy stitch counting groups or any games, and then I got so sucked into the whip parades and the kit parades and the start parades that have been flooding Flosstube over the last couple of weeks, and the game of I get to use this pattern to satisfy this and satisfy that and do all the things. I was sitting at work one day and I was just like, I guess it was just bubbling through my head, and I was like, I guess I just need to do a Whip Go board. If for nothing else, because I don't have a plan. And if I need some motivation to start something, then all the better. So I made a Whip Go board, and because I have 24 whips, so it just makes sense, right? Just makes sense. Do the 24, put the 24 whips on there, take the free square. I've never taken the free square before. I've always put something in there, and I've never finished a Whip Go board. So I went through, put all my whips in order, and then made little goals. And so this month, the numbers were 22 and 9. So 22 is my One Nation by Bygone Stitches, and number 9 is Long Dog the Token. Now, my Whip Go, my rules, right? Thanks, Jessie Marie, for giving us lots of wiggle room. Even though I probably will not accomplish all of the goals in the time that in the month that they are called, some of them I might, but most of them I probably won't. I will still count them as crossed off if they are called and they are done by the end of the year. I don't have a prize system set up for me. This is purely a motivation to get things done. So, in addition to that, I started watching even more Flosstubes, and then revisiting the Fandom Stitches Facebook group. And I did it long ago when the fandom that should not be named was the main kind of premise of that group. And I ended up leaving it because I think the next year just wasn't a fandom that I was interested in at all. Last year they did Lord of the Rings, and I kind of wish I had hopped on for that. But this year it's Disney, and I am a Disney person. I grew up in Southern California. I had a season pass for a long period of my life. My husband worked at both the Disneyland Hotel and the Grand Californian, so I had a spouse pass for a lot of years. We are Disney people. We've been to the parks on both coasts, and I couldn't resist it. All that, and with my WIPCO month number 1 being called as One Nation, and then one of the monthly prompts was like Americana because of Main Street USA, and Main Street is the first part that they're on. So obviously I'm gonna need to pick that up and do it. By the way, I just joined last night because I was up way too late watching too many Flosstube videos and needed to do all the things. So with the WIPCO being called as that, which my goal on here is to do 2 stars in 2 states, which I should be able to finish actually in this month, and because the requirement for the Fandom Stitches is 1,500 stitches, so I'll probably go well over what my goal was. But I just put it in the QSAP this morning, and this is Bygone Stitches, One Nations. It lists all of the states in the order that they were admitted into the union or accepted into the union or became a part of the union. And I only had Delaware done, which is number 1. And now I am, let's put some paper behind that. I have moved on to Pennsylvania. So this row just has Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. So if I will have the top row done, and then I will have my WIPCO goal done, and probably then some. The only problem that I have is that I have not picked out what white I am using. And I need to do that because I think I'm going to need to stitch some white to fill in some requirements, especially for my stars for my WIPCO goal. So I guess I'm just going to need to get on that. I might actually end up just using a DMC because the thread requirement for the white on this pattern is the highest out of all of the different colors. And I don't know if I really want to spend that much money on floss for this because I already am getting nervous about my other 2 colors, which I'm probably going to have to, like, I don't know, beg people to send me some of it at some point on Flosstube. But because I bought it from a special set and I am stitching it on a smaller count fabric than is required, but I don't think I ever really did the math on that, and I like to get nervous about things that I don't really need to be nervous about yet. This is future Marissa's problem, so we'll let future Marissa deal with that. But for right now, this is where I'm at with this one. So that was WIPCO number 1. The token I haven't pulled out yet. I will probably pull that out just after I finish this and have that on one of my Q-snaps, and then have something else going. I really, really, really need to buy another set of Q-snaps so that I can keep a few more things ready to go, because changing out patterns all the time is exhausting. But first world problems, for sure. So we don't, obviously that's like a non-issue. All right, so the next thing that I worked on, I picked a snow day project. So I told you we had big storm on Wednesday. That actually wasn't a snowstorm, that was just wind and rain that knocked everything out. On Sunday of last week, we got about 13 inches of snow, I think, in a day. It was a blast. Everyone had fun. It was total like pow pow, which was kind of a bummer because like there was no snowballs and no snowmen. But there was so much snow that it was just so much fun. My girls were sledding down our front stairs, which is like 5 steps floor maybe, but they thought it was the best thing in the world, so I'll take it. They didn't even want to go. There's primary school is around the corner and it has a great sledding hill, and there was just no interest of leaving our little nook, and so I let them have at it. They played while we shoveled our driveway. So we shoveled about 6 inches off at 9:30 in the morning, and then we went out, and that's when they had all their fun. And then we went out again at 1:30 and shoveled probably 3 to 4 more inches off. And then my husband went out while I was doing bedtime for the girls, and he was out there for an hour doing cleanup. The plow did come by right before he was doing, so they pushed a pretty big wall of snow into our driveway. So he had a lot of fun with that. But all that to say, I picked my snow day project. My snow day project is my oldest whip, Ink Circles 99. So there are 99 bottles of beer on the wall, and I had a productive stitching day on the actual snow day, and then I kept it out for a little while because the next day I was like, oh, I'm just gonna stitch on it the next day too. The next day I found a ginormous counting error that caused me to rip everything I had done out. So this is where it is at right now. It is on Picture This Plus Ale, which is the called for fabric, 32 count, 2/2. But, so let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you how silly I am. All right, so I stitched everything. This shelf was in, like just the actual shelf, and then I stitched everything above it. So what I did was I stitched this first bottle, and then I did this dealy-wop, and then I stitched over, and then I stitched this first bottle, and then I did this dealy-wop, and then I stitched over. I stitched all the outlines of these, just one outline on this shelf, and all the outlines down here except for the green bottle on the end. The next day I went to go put in, I was all the way down to this bottle right here, and I couldn't figure out what I had done. I couldn't get the bottles to match up, like something was so wrong, the counts were wrong, and what I ended up finding out was that I missed a row in this bottle, this very first bottle that I counted everything off of. I ripped out a lot of stitches. It took me over 2 hours to frog everything that I needed to frog. It was really sad. I was stitching with some friends on Tuesday night, and Michelle, Cozy Egg, said, Abby Bella Stitch has a second rule of cross stitching, which is always bring cross stitch. And Michelle Cozy Egg let me know of what the third rule of cross stitch is. And if you didn't know, it's don't be cocky. Don't get cocky. I was like so stoked that I had busted out so much work on that snow day. And I was like, oh, look at me, I did it. And then, nope. The next day, don't get cocky. So anyways, I made up my time. I spent 6 days on this project. I'm going to put it away until our next sew storm because I want to stitch on some other things. But I got a lot done. This bottle is complete. And so yeah, so that means I have 32 complete bottles. Although I did realize that there's like a light like flesh color that is like missing from a couple of these down here that I'll need to go back in and put in, because this isn't Sam Adams, but it kind of looks like a little colonial man, but he needs some color in his hand and his face, and then that same color goes in this bottle too. But I am still saying that I have 34 bottles complete. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm definitely over a third of the way there, and I'm getting closer to the halfway mark. Pretty close to the halfway mark. So that was exciting and horrible at the same time. But I've never had a snow day pattern before, and I think that this is just a really great way for me to get this. This just needs to come. It needs to get done. Like 2017, are you kidding me? It's turning 7 this year. It's a third of the way to being able to drink these. All right. And then in all of my Flosstube watching, I started watching a bunch of people that stitch full coverage. And I go back and forth with full coverage. I like both a lot. I don't ever dislike full coverage. I just, sometimes it seems like an insurmountable goal when you're stitching a full coverage project and you are looking at something and you're like, wow, I've stitched a lot of stitches into this and I am only, let's see, 2.95% complete. So I stitched on Tiki Beach Sunset. I'm going to put a picture in here of where it was before I started on this rotation, and then I'm going to show you the rest right now. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I did though. So I've talked before about how I stitch heids and how I like pick a thread color like that's in the corner and then I work it down. I wanted to get out of kind of the color that I was in, which was like a lot of greens for the roof of the tiki bar that this is in. And so I sort of did the same thing, but instead of starting in the corner, I started on the top border. So I would pick whatever the next floss in line was for the next stitch, and then I would stitch out that length of thread. So some places it went down further than others. Some places it was like pretty solid across the top. And then like over here you can see where I had, you know, extra on my thing. So it came way out here. So this actually got me into the 4th page across the top. Not very far into it, but I am into the 4th page across the top. This right here is a full page complete. I really enjoyed that. So I think I will probably go back when I pick this up again and focus more on filling in this area here. But I just was excited to see kind of the paper lantern showing up, and it just, a few more objects and some new colors that I haven't put into this piece yet got to make their debut. So I really, really enjoyed that, and I am itching to start another full coverage, which I'm not putting that on my list yet. And then also, I mean, my like doing everything from stash is like being put to the test right away at the beginning of the year because I'm having this pull towards full coverage, and then also Long Dog released Act of God. Oh my gosh. I am absolutely in love. There's a motif near the top that's like an octopus with little crabs on the bottom, and then there's seahorses around it. And I'm gonna have to get it at some point. But I'm going to finish the token. I'm gonna finish my other Long Dog before I buy another one. So it will wait. And that has always been my deal for Long Dog. I finished Bienvenue for my daughter last year or the year before. And now I'm working on the token, and now that one is calling. There's another one that I really love that has called to me, but I was good and I have not purchased, and it's just waiting on my Long Dog wish list for it to come to me. But so I'm I made plans, and they are already being dragged out and put to the test. So I think that is all I have for you stitch-wise. I am so excited to continue with this stitch extravaganza that I have started for myself. I'm really enjoying having all my project bags. They're right back here. I really enjoyed having them in my view. That has made a lot of difference in the motivation, because I sit like right here and I can see these, and then the TV's over here. So if I'm sitting here watching TV, you bet I have stitching in my hand. It might be something easier to stitch on if we're watching something new, but we're not big viewers of new content. So please don't ask me how many times I've watched any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies in the last 2 years. It's like if Disney sent you like a count of what you've watched and how many times, I think they actually might just reboot the franchise and, you know, apologize to Johnny Depp, just because our family intakes so much Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know why it is such a thing, but it is such a thing. So a lot of times that's what's on, not when the girls are downstairs, because they're still a little bit too young for that, and my kids are very much that gives me nightmares kids, so we don't subject them to that, but that would be kind of fun. I wish the streaming services would do that. You've watched this movie 9,000 times. You must have anxiety and not like to watch new programming. Anyways, yep. All right, well, I am gonna cut myself off and get this uploaded so I can stitch more and watch more Flosstubes, because I don't think I can consume enough at this point. So please keep making videos. Please keep stitching and putting it out there, and thank you again for coming and visiting. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I want to hear your comments. I want to see your face. If you comment on here and I don't already follow you on Instagram or Flosstube, please let me know if you also have a Flosstube, or if you're stitching on any of the projects that I'm stitching on especially and you've shown them. I would love, love, love to see them. It's so motivating when you see somebody else stitching on something that you also have going. I feel like for me, that really just like pushes me to pull that thing out, and work on it. Full coverage in general does that. If I see a full coverage project, I'm like, oh, I really want to get into work on my full coverage. Long dogs do that. There's certain patterns that just, once I see it and see somebody else doing it, it's coming out of my stash and it's going on a Q-snap, and I'm gonna get some stitches into it, at least a couple. So please let me know if you're stitching on any of the same stuff, especially if you have a Flosstube channel, or let me know what your Instagram handle is so I can follow you and watch your progress there. But yeah, happy stitching everybody, and I will see you soon. Bye.